Hi guys, welcome to another video by AntiquesArena. My name is Walter O'Neill and today we're going to talk about buying and selling antiques, how to make some money and how to stay in business in the world of this type of stuff. Now, when I'm talking about antiques and collectibles and things, I'm not talking about the high end, £1,000, £10,000, £50,000, those type of things. They sell themselves. Some people buy them for investment, some people buy them just to say, oh, I own a Chippendale. I'm talking about pieces that they may be antique, they may be collectible, they may be retro, whatever you deal in, from sort of £1 up to maybe £250. That is what 90% of us resellers and antique dealers sell. But it is also the hardest category to sell in. Now, this type of antique or collectible tends to go more towards the working class or the middle class, people who don't have an unlimited budget and they haven't got thousands of pounds to put into a painting or a Chinese vase, but we still like to collect. Now, if you take into account how hard people have to work to earn a wage these days, and it isn't easy, or the hours people have to work, you can appreciate and understand why they're so careful with their money. Now, they ain't gonna just spend it willy-nilly. They're gonna want good value for their money. Now, I want people to walk in over the door in the shop and I want them to see something, impulse buy and purchase and think, that's priced not too bad and I like it, I'll have that. But the way to sell this stuff is to really make them want it, guys. Make them, if they're a collector, show them that they want that for their collection. If they're another reseller, leave a little bit of profit on it. Up the odds on selling. Now, you can actually buy and sell anything in this business and still make a living. There's nothing you can't sell, period. But what you have to do, you have to always be aware and consciously thinking about the supply and demand rule. It's a simple rule that's been, well, as important now as it's always been. The greater the supply, the less the demand. If you've got 100 people selling a glass vase and you've got 3 people wanting to buy, you are all competing to get their money. Now, if you do the other way around, if you've got 3 glass vases and 100 people wanting to buy, they're fighting over your item. Bidding wars, if you want to sell through auctions instead of buy it nows, things like that. So supply and demand, guys. No matter what you buy, supply and demand. Now, if you want to buy run-of-the-mill stuff, you can buy run-of-the-mill stuff. I still do myself, but you have to be the cheapest on the market to sell it. If you're happy to be the cheapest on the market and still make a profit, then buy it anyway, guys. Now, there's 2 ways, basically, there's 2 main ways of staying in business doing antiques, collectibles, and bits and bobs, knickknacks, whatever you want to do. As I've already mentioned, you can be the cheapest on the market. You still have to make sure you're making a profit. Now, you can do that by buying at the venues I buy from. In the UK here, we have car boot sales, which is basically we all drive to a allotted area, maybe a field or something, and we sell out of the backs of our cars, wherever we can stuff in, and I film mine to the top. Or you go to charity shops. In America, I think they're called yard sales and thrift stores, garage sales, things like that. I go to antique fairs and flea markets, and you can really be you can get some really good gear. Or the alternative, if you go to those locations, you can buy it really cheap, which means you can sell it cheap and still be competitive. The alternative is you buy anything that is handmade, hand decorated, hand thrown, hand stitched. Something that somebody has put a lifetime of skill into learning a trade and then creating something beautiful. Therefore, there's going to be less of them, and if somebody likes it, the availability isn't there, so they've got to pay your price. Another good thing about buying from car boot sales, garage sales, yard sales, estate sales, whatever you want, one, you can be very selectful for what you buy, but most importantly, you are in control of what you pay. So there's options. You can find the things you like and you have knowledge in, and you ask them the price. You can haggle. There's nothing wrong with saying, well, it's a bit more than I want to pay, you willing to come down a bit, be polite, be respectful, ask them tidy, you know, don't cut them to the bone, leave a little bit on there, as long as you get a profit out of it and you know you can move it on. But buying at these venues means you can buy very, very cheap. And I'll give you an example now. Decanters, let's just use one thing I sell, crystal and cut glass decanters. I got a car boot sale, I see them for £2, £3, all the way up to a tenner. And you can actually sell them 20, 30, 40, 50 pound, £100 on eBay or in the shop. So you can really make the margin on buying at car boot sales and things. So you can buy run of the mill. If you want to buy a ceramic vase that isn't that saleable and wait for the right buyer, you can do it, because you can buy it for £1, you can sell it for 10 or 20 quid. That's the way to do it, buying at these venues. Now my big tips would be for buying at any of the venues I've mentioned so far, because you can buy at them cheap, would be, first of all, buy where you're confident or comfortable in buying. But don't be afraid to take a bit of a gamble, you know, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, buy the best thing you can for the money you have. So let's say, for example, we walk up to a table full of decanters. We're going to stick with decanters for a minute. They simply have a price tag, all decanters £5 each. Well, what are you going to do? Take them all? What's the point? Half of them you'll be stuck with. Look for anything that's signed, anything that's antique, anything that's cut glass, anything that's crystal, anything that's really jumping out and going, oh, look at me, I have a wonderful design, I'm real 1960s designer. You know, look for the best. And then leave the moulded or the pressed glass crap ones there for someone else to have. Take what you're comfortable with and always buy the best you can for your money. Let's say, for argument's sake now, they have a selection of ceramic dogs on the table. Now, I'd look at them all first and I'd see what's signed, what's made of porcelain, what's made of just china or pottery. Is there any Beswick, any Silvac? That's what the type of thing I would do. Buy the best for your money and then move on, leave the bog standard that you can't sell. If you want to go for jewellery, you know, first things first, gold, silver, because there's a scrapping and melting value, you'll always have a profit. But if not, is there any antique? Is there any vintage costume jewellery there? Any vintage signed costume jewellery there? Some plastic or Bakelite brooches or Bakelite beads, stranded beads can be £1,000. So you really can be talking good money on costumes, so don't dismiss costume jewellery either. If you're talking about art, then go for original works of art. Go for watercolours, go for lithographs, go for antique, go for limited edition signed prints, artist signed proofs. If you have to go for a bog standard print, make sure the subject matter is really good. If not, leave it there. And you can buy paintings for £2. I've picked up paintings for £2 and £3. Well, my best buy was I bought a painting for £30 and it's up on eBay for £3,500. So you can get some really good original works of art. Now, there's nothing I won't buy at car boot sales, so don't turn nothing down. You look at ceramics. Ceramics is the hardest category to sell anything in. There is millions upon millions upon millions of items out there. But I'll be very selectful. I'll make sure if I'm buying a standard piece, this will do, yeah. Bit of Hornsey pottery. Now you don't get much more bog standard than that. I've got £15 on that in the shop here. Large Hornsey jug, but I wouldn't have paid no more than £1 or £2 for that. So I don't mind buying the run of the mill, but it has to come in at the right money. And on top of that, it is a collectible. It used to pull reasonable money. But just use the same principle, guys, throughout any category you buy in, right? First of all, is it hand painted? Is it hand decorated? Is it handmade? If not, is it signed? Is it collectible? Is it quality? Now, we're going on to, I said to you earlier, buy what you're comfortable with buying. Not always. Now, you might see something that you see and you think, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. And when you consider, some of us go to 3, 4, 5 car boot sales or sales every week. And when all of a sudden something pops up and you think, well, I've never seen anything like that before, I don't know what it is, then that's the one you should be looking at. Because we see thousands of items laid out every day, and if all of a sudden someone sticks his head up and goes, well, I don't know what you are, then it's obviously not a common piece. So then you pick it up and you got to look at it. How are you made? What are you made of? How many hours have gone into making you? You know, that's the way then you buy without the knowledge. You look at the item and judge the item and think, well, what would I pay for that? And then just use your common sense. If they're asking a tenner for something, you know, that's beautiful shape, made of porcelain and hand painted, you know you're safe. Even if you don't know what it is, find out when you get on. Just use common sense when you're buying, guys. Now, buying at all these venues, as I've already said, there is one big massive upside. We all get a hell of a thrill out of it because you can really hit the jackpot. So whether you're out metal detecting or whether you're digging in the riverbanks looking for something, we have that same thrill that you get when that metal detector goes beep, beep, beep. Well, when you get into a box and we dig in through and we find something, our heart rate's going. Honestly, it's better than gambling on the horses. You're digging in them boxes, you might find a gold sovereign in the bottom of a coin, in the bottom of a box. You really don't know what you're going to find. And that really does give us the thrill. And that's the jackpot feeling we're all chasing. As I've already said to you, I bought a £30 painting. It's up to £3,500. That's not the only time I've done it. Many times I've spent 50p or £1 and had £200, £300, £400, £500 returned. That's the thrill. That's what drags all of us out hunting. It's almost a treasure hunt, if you like, and we really do get that thrill. But on the other side of the coin, if there's a fake for anything, he'll find his way to a car boot sale. What they do, they come to car boot sales, they don't describe it, they just put a price on it, and a little knowledge can be dangerous. What they're hoping for is you can identify it as something, but you haven't got enough knowledge to know whether it's real. Then they'll sell it to you at a medium price, so you think, oh God, I'm going to make a fortune on that. Then you get on, they've done really well, and you got a fake. So I would try to say, try and research an area. If you want to deal, whatever area you want to deal in, try and get as much research done as you can. You can do research on Google. There's nothing you can't find on there. So if you want to do an area, even my triers, guys, the amount of fakes I see now with drunken bricklayers and things like that, do a bit of research, get familiar, right? Look at sold prices on eBay, things like that. Whatever you got to do, just familiarize yourself with the categories you want to buy in. But as I've already said, don't be afraid to take a gamble. Just do it sensibly. Just think, even if something does turn out to be a fake, then if you've done it sensibly using the method I mentioned earlier of, you know, is it quality, how's it made, and how's it decorated, things like that, does it look 10 is worth, you know, you're not going to lose much money because you can still sell it as a decorative item even if you can't sell it as the real article. So definitely you can do that. Now, there is an alternative to flea markets, yard sales, garage sales and so forth, and that's auctions. Now, there's a downside to the auction house. That jackpot, you're not going to get it. That buzz and treasure hunt, you're not going to get it. Or in my opinion, you're not going to get it. You may feel different, but in my opinion, you've had an expert, the auctioneer, goes through everything, and he finds the items that should be worth money, and he separates them out, singles them, and he sells them off individually. Now, it's not to say they find everything. That's what's called a sleeper. You do get sleepers in auction where the auctioneer have missed something. But for me, the auctioneer, 9 out of 10 times, will find the good gear, take it out, put a proper description on there. So then it's a question of, if you want that item, you're going to bid against it, 30, 40, 50, 100 other dealers, who's going to take the least profit? And personally, it then also becomes harder to sell because you've really cut your profit margin so thin, and when you come trying to sell, if someone tries to knock you down, you've got nothing in it whatsoever. You just can't do it. And that's why I don't buy from auctions that often. If I was going to buy from auction, I would definitely dive in the miscellaneous boxes. A box where the auctioneer hasn't really valued the stuff, and you might have all Art Deco ceramics in there, and you might buy a box full for £10 or £20, and they work at £1 or £2 a vase that you can sell for £10, £20, £30 a vase. That's good business, guys. But you're not really going to hit on that couple of £1,000 item for 20 quid or 30 quid where you can at a car boot sale. So that's how you stay in the game as far as I'm concerned in this business. Always use the supply and demand rule and 2 rules of thumb. If it's modern and mass produced, it has to be cheap. Go for handmade, hand decorated above all else, and buy the best you can for the money you got. Guys, I hope you find this video useful. Any questions or any other comments, please feel free to leave a comment. I'm sure there'll be stuff I've missed out or forgotten that others can get out of your comments. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.